Well, all right, all right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Misty Magdalena Grace. So for those of you who don't know, I am going through a name change as part of my journey in this spiritual realm. Now that I am fully coming and calling myself as a spiritual teacher, mentor, I offer up one-on-one mentorships now, and I shared on my podcast 2 days ago now, my spiritual name. So I'm no longer going by Lois Kofi, except of course in the legal realm. You can call me Magdalena for short. So just a little bit about my name here today. And then also, for those of you who don't know me, I am a plant medicine woman. I am a psychedelic mentor. I prefer to call it plant medicine because I feel like a lot of people hear the word psychedelic and right away their brain goes to the 60s, right? They go to Timothy Leary and the whole Richard Nixon scandal and, getting high and, going and doing shrooms on the weekends and a recreational party scene with alcohol and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that that's not what I ever want people to associate with plant medicine. So it's really important to me to help share that information because there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of people that have all sorts of ideas about what plant medicine is. And I hope to help share with you today and then also answer your questions here on the live. I'm going to spend about an hour with you. So if you're on the live, you get to ask your questions. And if you're on the replay, you can always book a free consultation with me. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. So share a little bit also, I am also a podcaster of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise. My podcast has been going for 3 years strong. Plant medicine changed my life so much. Not only changed my name, I changed my podcasts as I transformed and went within mind, body, spirit healing. Now having done over 50 deep dives, have been signed up for many plant medicine initiations and teachings with shamans and plant medicine, tribal indigenous women. I have completely transformed inside out. And so this month, I'm relaunching my podcast and celebrating my 3-year anniversary, almost 300 episodes, and going to be having several guests. And the newfound focuses are spirituality, plant medicine, microdosing, psychedelic education and safety, shamanism, inner child healing, and so much more. I'm going to be giving away a free plant medicine ceremony. There's 6 things you got to do to enter to win. So if you want to win a free plant medicine ceremony, that's my gift to you. Just play to win. Go to the website and check out those rules. It's July 26th and 27th, 2 weeks from today and 2 weeks from yesterday, 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, both days. And then, of course, a second place winner will win a free month of microdose coaching with me. So today, I do have a lot to cover. Some of you have seen Microdosing 101. That's the first class that I did. It's on my website. You can go back and watch it. This is Microdosing 202 and then just general Q&A. So I'm going to talk about how to find the right good shaman or group or facilitators for you, tips from a shaman on how to set up sacred space, special prayer to protect yourself. When you're using plant medicine, yes, the veil is thin and it's really important to protect yourself when you are using it, building a relationship with it rather, how to navigate the good, the bad, and the ugly with tools that I use, how to integrate after you microdose or while you microdose or deep dive ceremony, especially integration is key in both. In microdosing and deep dive, you've got to integrate, and I'll explain what that means later. Also how to hold and soothe yourself naturally. When you're microdosing, anxiety and stuff can come up, trauma can come up, same thing as in deep dives. It can be very, very hard to go back to quote unquote regular life and not be triggered. So I know that a little bit too well, unfortunately, because I didn't get the right support early on. That's why I became a coach, actually, and a plant medicine woman. Because there's a lot of people out there who are not partaking in this medicine safely. So we'll also talk a little bit about proper nutrition protocols, not a lot. I'll also share my upcoming offerings and have questions at the end. So please take notes. Please, you're going to want to possibly save your questions till about the 40-minute mark. Okay. My goal is to speak for about that long, give or take, and then open up for Q&A. It may not even go a full hour, depending on how many questions you have. And if you stay till the end, you get to receive a gift. So if you stay till the very, very end on the live, those of you who are watching live, you'll also receive a gift from me. So I'll tell you how to win that gift at the end. So first things first, I ask that you keep an open mind. That can leave a chance for someone to drop a worthwhile thought in it. I'm going to share some unorthodox things. And the hope is that, you park your belief systems at the door and just kind of be curious. Curiosity, they say, killed the cat, but I'm here to tell you it's actually going to save you and empower you to shift and transform in ways that, had I been closed-minded when I found plant medicine, I don't know if I'd be alive. I really don't. That's how much my life has changed. So keep an open mind. So my story and what brought me to plant medicine was after many, many years, almost 14 years of losing friends to suicide and addiction. I lost both my parents and my brother between 2018 and 2020. I lost myself in work and drinking habits. Completely uncertain in my marriage. I felt like I was really shut down, very codependent with my partner. I felt like a worthless mom also because I wasn't my true self. I was like a hamster on a wheel, lost in my career, lost in making money. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And then came the pandemic, right? We had to homeschool our 7 and 11-year-old at that time. And I was just numb. I was just so numb. When I remember when my brother died, my mom died, I actually didn't cry. And that was actually a turning point for me. I'm like, why am I so numb? I can't even cry. And then I read the book, The Surrender Experiment, and it reminded me that all of our answers lie within. All of our abundance, all of our health, all of our wealth lies within. And as within, so without, I was relying too much on external factors in my life, including alcohol, including my partner, including busyness, throwing myself into too much everything, that I had to surrender. And a spiritual mentor showed up in my life not too long after that and said, hey, you've got to heal. What you're doing now and who you're being now is not who you were born and meant to be. You were meant for so much more. And that'd be my question to you is, do you believe that you're here for so much more? And I said, yes, I know that I'm here for so much more than what I was experiencing. And so he said, go check out ayahuasca and psilocybin, plant medicine. And at that time, I didn't even know anything about that stuff, guys. Nothing, zero. This was 3 years ago, this December. And so I first read this book, share on the screen if you're watching, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And I'm here to tell you, I was really stuck in my head. And monkey mind, busy mind, go, 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 go. It wouldn't stop until I would drink alcohol or just numb myself with more meetings, more stuff, more doing. So I recognized that I had to do something different. So I first started this approach focusing on healing the mind, which I'll tell you is a fine place to start. I know a lot of people are talking about psychedelic assisted psychotherapy and all of that kind of stuff. But there's way more, guys, way more to plant medicine than what it can do for your mind. So I do know the word psychedelic means mind manifesting, and scientists, they studied it for this in the early 1900s. The book about how to change your mind is a lot about that, but there's so much more, guys, to these ancient sacred wisdom plants than focusing on our ego, focusing on our brain, focusing on the mind chatter. We also have 2 hemispheres in our brain. Did you know that? Did you probably, like me, forget that? My spiritual teacher told me and reminded me, hey, you have a feminine side and a masculine side. So that's the 2 hemispheres. The pink on the right is the being, the left is the doing. That's the masculine. And if you notice, on the left, it talks about analysis, logic, ideas, facts, math, training. That's really the thinking with the head brain part. It's the masculine energy, the doing. The right side is more about the feminine, the creativity, the intuition, the arts, the creation, the feeling, the imagination. That for me was shut down completely due to trauma and grief, and then just the pressures of society. I was not being, I became a human doing. And the sacred plants reminded me of that as well, got me out of my head and into my heart brain, and more awakening of that feminine energy of the brain. We have what I prefer to call the body mind. Okay, too many people focus on the head brain. It's just my personal belief and opinion. Again, don't need to agree with me, but it's what I've discovered, especially having been in sales, having been in this body for 45 years and just observing the society and the world at large. Everybody focuses on affirmations. Everyone focuses on even the subconscious mind and healing that and reprogramming your brain for success and all of that. Guess what? I tried that too. I hired a subconscious mind coach and it didn't really get me very far. It started to awaken some things, but it was still not deep enough. We have three parts to our body mind: our ego, the unconscious, also known as subconscious, and our superconscious. This is a divine energy that's there before you're born. It's like waiting for you in the waiting room as you're being born into the world and take your first breath. And it's a collective energy. It's the divine within. It's your psychic gifts, your intuition, wanting to help you live your best life. I believe it's in your heart brain. That's where the seat of your soul, your consciousness exists. That's why I say body mind, because your heart is in your body and it's the largest brain in your body. It is connected, yes, to the head brain. And that was the biggest impact that I had with plant medicine. Again, most people think about hallucinations, getting high, leaving their body, kind of shutting down the head brain. But for me, it was all about getting into that heart and reconnecting with the divine within. Not to mention, I wanted to also mention the gut brain. I have a background in health and fitness. I was in health and fitness for 17 years. I coached over 10,000 people on fitness, nutrition. I had mental health issues myself. I had depression, anxiety, and it all actually started with my gut brain not being healthy. So I had leaky gut syndrome. I had digestive issues. My neurotransmitters then were not producing enough serotonin, the happy, healthy brain hormone, right? And 80% of our serotonin and those healthy hormones are produced in our gut brain. So if your poop is off, if you're constipated, if you have stomach issues, which is also connected to different chakras that are also connected to lower vibrational energies like fear, guilt, and shame. All of those are lower vibrational, and all of those are in your lower three chakras, which are somehow connected to your gut brain. So you can actually receive healing. I did. I healed a lot of my digestive issues with the gut brain. That was all connected to shame, guilt, and fear. So then I could have more mental clarity. I could have more serotonin. I could have more happy, healthy dopamine hormones, as opposed to looking at dopamine hits from social media or text messages or dopamine hits that are fake, like from alcohol, right? So this is really important for you guys to know, because a lot of people don't understand that there's a three brains in our body mind that are all influenced by these psychedelics. And if you understand the body mind, your body is also held on to trauma. Your organs are holding on to trauma. There was a story of a woman who had a liver transplant, and she got a liver from someone who had died as an alcoholic. Don't know why they would even allow for that, but it's true. She needed a new liver. She got one, and all of a sudden now she craved Cheetos and beer, and she never drank alcohol. It's because that guy's liver was keeping the score of his trauma. So just think about that in your body. We carry 7 generations back of DNA of our ancestors on both sides, mom and dad, even if you didn't know them, you're carrying their stuff. So we've got to purge it. So ayahuasca, psilocybin, something else I highly recommend, which is combo frog medicine, as well as tears. If you cry, right, that's purging. Somatic shaking, if you're shivering, a lot of times I had that happen in my journeys, my deep dives, and our clients will have that. That's a good sign, because as humans, our bodies haven't the capability like animals. If you've studied trauma, we don't have the capability of closing the loop of the trauma to then leave our body energetically. So we hold on to it. So that's why if someone's depressed or anxious and it keeps coming back, even if they've done pharmaceuticals, even if they've done all sorts of meditation and this, that, and the other, if their body is still holding on to it, they're not going to actually really get rid of it. That's why pharmaceuticals, I call it the biggest addiction, especially in America, because it's doing something to our gut brain and our head brain, but it's not really getting to the root cause of it, which is the physical holding of the trauma itself. So plant medicine helps us purge that, so our body mind can have more spaciousness. Our body mind can hold more light. Okay. Last but not least, there's the spiritual piece. And this is actually the number one that I always like to share with my clients is, if you aren't coming at this with somewhat of a spiritual, I guess, curiosity, you're missing out on the full Monty, the full potential for what's possible inside of what plant medicine can create for you, co-create for you. So entheogens is another word for psychedelics, another word for plant medicine. Shamans used them thousands and thousands of years ago. In fact, believe it or not, there's a book called Psychedelic Gospels. They say Jesus and the church used it. And when the church was formed after Jesus was killed, then they shut down a lot of divine tools. It's actually been said that the Vatican is hiding a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of different religious organizations that have shut this down, because if you know the ability to have your own, we'll call it Christ consciousness energy, for example, and awarenesses, you have too much power, right? And then those religious organizations, institutions can't control you. However, I'm here to tell you, I believe that these medicines that have actually been around for millions of years before humans, they have so much wisdom. Just think about a tree that's been around for 100 years, how much wisdom that tree has seen and witnessed, and it's a living, breathing being as well. So these plants carry so much earthly wisdom, but then also help you be able to connect with the divine within you, that super conscious that I was talking about. And keep in mind, I'm not a religious person at all, but to be able to heal yourself, the shaman said, here, take this medicine. Go within to find your answers instead of going outside of yourself for the answers, which is what we've been programmed to do for at least 2,000 to 3,000 years, maybe even 4,000. And they believe that all dis-ease is caused by a spiritual root cause or a trauma, a disconnect from your own spiritual self within. So that's why I couldn't just stop at the mind and be talking about this from a mental standpoint. Whether you have ADHD, whether you have anxiety, whether you have trauma, it still is all a spiritual disconnect from your superconscious or your higher self, or whatever you want to call it. There's so many different names, okay? So there's a lot of tribes that instead of throwing someone with schizophrenia into a mental institution, like what happened to my mom, they take the medicine and allow that person to self-discover their gifts, their abilities. And in this world that we live in, that's a concrete jungle, a 9-to-5 mentality. They put a lot of people in a box, literally in their brains, and then in their careers, and in a lot of different ways that weren't around thousands of years ago, guys. So that's another component that I really want to share and advocate inside of plant medicine that's possible for you. And also, if you've ever watched this documentary by Gabor Mate, he has done a lot of work with trauma. He was a doctor in the addiction and homeless community for decades. He also had his own trauma and discoveries because he grew up in the Holocaust time, was abandoned by his mother. And so, and being a doctor, he's witnessing trauma and living a very imbalanced life for decades. So he discovered something had to change. And so instead of looking at trauma as a bad thing, what can it teach us? And so he's helped people go into remission from stage 4 cancer with ayahuasca therapy. And he's got a great documentary called The Wisdom of Trauma. I highly recommend. So this is what I worked through. Again, mind, body, spirit, head, brain, heart, brain, gut, brain, and purged and got to witness with visuals and without. I healed a lot of my mother-father wound. With my father, I was raised by a single dad. So I had a lot of abandonment with mom leaving, but then also this wounded masculine. A lot of responsibility was put on my dad that he also inherited from his ancestors. I grew up in a German family, so very stoic and very stubborn, hardworking, and all of the things, very, very masculine, kind of the my way or the highway philosophy. And so I had that in me, which made it very difficult sometimes to be me, especially as a woman, carrying that wounded masculine. So I was able to purge that in deep dive ceremonies. And then with my mom, she had me in a mental institution hospital connected to the mental institution. So you can about imagine the trauma that I experienced in utero, as well as being taken from her, like almost right away. I was in foster care and in and out of families' homes, and just never really got that attachment parenting, a thing that we hear about that's so important. Even Dr. Gabor Mate talks about that. So I had constant abandonment from day one. And so I got to, with the help of ayahuasca and psilocybin, relive a lot of my mom's experience in the mental institution and purge it for her and purge it for me. That's the power of these medicines. I also got to witness ancestral trauma on both of my sides of my family. I got to learn about that. My husband, who is a shaman, he actually specializes in ancestral healing and guided regression work. I do some of that now as well for clients who want that. We focus on it in our ceremonies because we discover that we are our ancestors. We're carrying a lot of their shit. And if we don't let it go, we're just repeating history. Why do they say history repeats itself, right? Why do we keep repeating the same wars, the same mistakes as our parents or our grandparents or great-grandparents? Well, it's because we're carrying it in our DNA. So I was able to release a ton of that. Digestive issues gone, which helped improve my autoimmune disease, addictive behaviors. I created healthier relationships with alcohol, social media. I have healthy boundaries in my life. I'm no longer struggling with people pleasing. I became conscious of my trauma responses. And I won't go into all of that here. I talk about that in Microdosing 101, the first class, but trauma responses is like fight or flight, really getting into the sympathetic system, which exhausts you, spikes your cortisol. That's half the reason people are exhausted and have insomnia, is because of their trauma responses and they're not handling them or managing them properly. I also helped heal and release a lot of grief from a lot of people who had died, reframed my relationship with grief in so many levels. I understand death so much more. I overcame and healed a lot of guilt, shame, and fear. Still on that journey, of course, because I'm still here. I'm still living. I'm still human. I shed nearly 40 pounds in the last 2 years and kept most of it off. And it was all trauma and emotional baggage related. I didn't blame the alcohol. I didn't blame the fact that I didn't work out anymore. It actually had nothing to do with those things. It was the root causes were the trauma and the spiritual, mental, physical stuff that I was holding on to. It also had a huge shift in my marriage, my career, changed my name. I'm not saying that you need to do that, but I really got back to myself. So that's the question here of the day. The real question is, what are you willing to plant seeds inside of yourself with plant medicine? What will you unearth? And are you ready? I've had some clients who remembered sexual trauma that they had repressed for decades. I've had clients remember some of the deepest, darkest stuff. But guess what? On the other side of that remembrance, they could release and heal, because you can't heal what you don't feel. You can't heal by just forgetting about it and staying busy. You've got to be able to name and feel the stuff that you repressed from decades, childhood, and then, of course, the ancestral. So it's a brave and courageous path, and it's not for everyone. I would even say it's not really a hobby. Like some people will work out on the weekends and it's really more of a hobby, fun thing. You could do that. You just won't get lasting transformation and change. So how will you stay safe also and ensure that this isn't just a hobby or a passing fancy that might also actually create more trauma or anxiety? Because that is possible. I did experience that in my first 6 months, both microdosing without a guide, without support, and then also with deep dive ceremonies because I didn't have integration. So how will you commit to the medicine path if it is for you? So I wanted to share, talk a little bit about shamans, talk a little bit about, I'm watching my time here. Okay, so I'm going to go for about another 15 minutes, okay? And then we'll open it up for Q&A. The main idea behind looking for facilitators, looking for teachers, guides, even myself, I may not be for you, and that's fantastic. Some people will prefer to work with a psychologist or a psychotherapist. Fantastic. I tried that. It didn't work for me. Because again, I believe most of our root causes of dis-ease, mental, physical, all come from that disconnect from our higher self, that divine within. And so you need to decide, are you coming at this from more of a psychology approach, a brain approach, or more of a heart-based spiritual approach? And I have worked with people who did both. Like if you have significant trauma, I am going to refer you to a trauma specialist. I'm going to help hold you and guide you with the medicine and with how to hold yourself through those moments. Because I never really got that myself from a psychotherapist or a psychologist and even some trauma experts. So how do you co-create with that? And you could do a two-pronged approach. So working with the brain and like more of the psychologist, psychotherapist, and then a spiritual plant medicine person like myself. Or the path that I did, I tested out a bunch of different shaman groups, a bunch of different plant medicine people. Didn't do my homework at that time. So I want to just kind of help you learn from my mistakes, because I had some really terrifying experiences, both with microdosing and with sitting in the deep dive. So you want to find out what are their values, who you're sitting with, what's their background, what's their trauma healing story? Do they have a relationship with the medicine that they are serving or sharing with you? How long have they been working with it? Like for me, it's been 2.5 years. So I am newer and I have zero shame about that. You can check out the testimonials on my website. I've had massive breakthroughs with clients because of my 17 years in health and fitness. I know a lot about the body, a lot about the gut brain, a lot about the mind. Asking them, how do they support you before? How do they support you during? And how do they support you after? Whether, again, if it's microdosing, which is 500 milligrams or less of medicine, or if you're working with, I'll show you, and this one's legal. So this is why I show this. This is my ayahuasca cappy vine. It doesn't have DMT in it, so it's legal. So, you shake it and you drop it under your tongue. It's liquid form. So, there's all sorts of questions. How do you get served the medicine? How do they teach you and coach you and support you in working with it? And then how do you get support in integrating? because there's a lot of things you need to know about. Are you hydrated properly? Is your gut brain going to absorb the medicine, or do you need to do like a detox beforehand? How do they support you afterwards if you have trauma that comes up, or even during the ceremony? How do they support you if you have trauma come up during the ceremony? Because some people will just let you stay there and lay there. Some groups have, silence. Some people have music. You also got to go and experience it for yourself to determine what is best for you. So you can't really predict that. It's just if the medicine calls to you, I encourage you to listen to that call, but also to do your research. Also asking, how do they prepare the ceremony space? Like my partner, who's a shaman, he actually goes into the spirit world and prepares and connects with your ancestors, your animal totems, your spirit guides, if you believe in that kind of stuff. But he also cleanses and clears the space before ceremony. We sage, we have incense burning. I even have incense burning now. Incense burning throughout the ceremony, Palo Santoing you, any dark energies that are purging and releasing from you. Those are good things to release, but then you got to know how to respond after ceremony. If some of that scary stuff comes up, do they offer up breath work? Do they offer up any kind of embodiment exercises to help you purge after ceremony, to integrate and make whole and complete within yourself? Because once the trauma has left you, you've got to have some way to nourish yourself. So that's why proper nutrition before ceremony, of course, during and then after, is also, so you nourish the body mind in ways to support your brain health, your gut brain, the serotonin boosts, and all of that kind of stuff. So these are some basic shares from my shaman partner that I work with. And then also what I've learned, what was missing in a lot of ceremonies, we wouldn't get any support from the shamans before or after. Even plant medicine facilitators were not able to offer up the tools. So I had to go and hire and spent multiple 5 figures in 2 years to get all the right help and tools so that I stayed healthy, sane, and I actually transformed the stuff that didn't work and serve for me anymore, and I could be healthy, whole, and complete from there. So I hope this is making sense. Just again, this is the 202 level class, just making sure that in the 101 we covered some other basic stuff. So then the other thing that plant medicine facilitators do, and what I even do virtually for my microdosing clients, is prayers, rituals, holding space. What they mean by holding space is an energetic term. It's like you're in the field. When you're in plant medicine, the veil is very thin. And there are, believe it or not, there are dark energies that get released. And then where do they go? Dark energies that could try to come in. We had that happen in a ceremony where they didn't sage, they didn't protect us. And my husband and I had massive arguments for days. And it was because something had gotten in from the field, from the other realms. We are multidimensional. And so they got in and they attached themselves to us. So here's a prayer of protection. You can screenshot this really quickly that I did receive from one of my teachers. It's basically saying, I do not give permission to mocking spirits, vicious spirits, sabotaging spirits, or hungry ghosts, or their like to be part of my reality. I am a sovereign being, and it is up to me and me alone to choose who I invite and who I deflect. Because before and after all, I am the queen or king of my queendom, and the citizens of my glorious kingdom or queendom are happy, abundant, and free. And again, for some of you, this might be a little bit out there, and that's okay. I'm sharing with you my truth and how we protect our clients, both in person and virtually. This does make a difference, as weird as it sounds. We talk to native tribes, indigenous tribes. They do a lot of this to help their clients, and it's super important. So you can, hopefully you've taken a screenshot of that by now. Pardon the typos. Then this is what I provide for all of my microdosing clients inside of my 24/7 portal. As you take this medicine, it's going to loosen things through the gut brain that then come up to your head brain. It's going to release traumas, which could bring anxiety triggers. I actually had a client who he worked with me for 30 days. He would always meditate with the medicine, and he had amazing results. He stopped working with me. He stopped meditating, but he kept taking the medicine. And guess what? He had an anxiety attack because he wasn't meditating. Instead of meditating when he took the medicine, he would read the newspaper, check the news, and be moving around. I'm a big proponent of meditating and breathing, setting up sacred space. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And breathing through anything that comes in, because our breath helps navigate the stress and the trauma, the anxiety. Just by taking a deep breath, like a 4 counts, and I prefer in through the nose, out through the nose. I coach on this, so I'm not going to do that today, but it helps navigate the parasympathetic part of the nervous system that calms us. The sympathetic is the fight or flight. And if in your fight or flight too often, you won't breathe enough, you won't breathe deeply enough, and you can just have an anxiety attack from that alone. But when you have the medicine in your system, it's going to loosen things up, and that trauma can come through. And so you want to have breathing exercises. You want to get into your heart, quiet the mind. That's where the meditation comes in. Maybe listening to music or chanting or mantras or whatever is your thing. Having a daily gratitude practice as part of your microdosing or as part of your, recovery from a deep dive. Finding gratitude and developing that attitude of gratitude muscle. It took me a long time to do that because I didn't have a coach like me, but I tell people that like right away. Even if you're going through a lot of trauma release, find the wisdom and the gratitude in that trauma, just like Dr. Gabor said. Finally, the Kundalini yoga. I include that inside of my 24/7 coaching portal for my clients because we do have 7 chakras in our system. Part of Kundalini yoga is to help you with breath work and opening up the chakras. If your chakras are blocked because of trauma, it doesn't matter how many supplements you take. It doesn't matter maybe even how much medicine you do. If the chakras are blocked, then you could still be holding on to that trauma energetically. So Kundalini yoga has helped me, oh my gosh, so much. Stay sane in all of these Age of Aquarius energetic times that we're going through right now. So that helps with the central nervous system as well, because all 7 chakras are connected to our brain, our head brain, all the way down our throat chakra. This is our central nervous system. Everything is inside of our spine, right? And then it's connected to your organs. And so it's all connected, guys. So this is why it's critical to not just do and sit and play with plant medicine. Is how do you take care of your body, mind along the way for better, faster, safer results? So then I'll talk about how to set up sacred daily practice for those of you who are microdosing. And then, of course, after ceremony, how this can help you navigate and provide better, lasting, life-changing, and in some ways, life-saving results. I don't mean to scare you guys, but there are people who have committed suicide after being in plant medicine ceremony because just too much came up. And so to be able to know that's knowledge is power, right? Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? And since I've lost 12 friends to suicide, this is really important to me, okay? So what I do is I set an intention. So I'll use this as an example since I have it right by me. So this is my ayahuasca drops, right? So I'll hold it to my heart. I'll say that prayer of protection also, not every day, but especially if I'm feeling a little off. And I do this first thing in the morning before I check my phone, before I check an email, really disconnecting from the world. You can do it whenever. You can microdose in the afternoon, evening, but the most important thing is I prefer not to microdose around other people. And I also prefer to quiet the mind, get into the heart, set the intention. I speak the intention to the medicine and to my heart. And then I'll take the medicine And usually I'll also, depending on the person, this is your ritual, your sacred space, I'll already have my incense going. I don't have it here because this isn't my normal spot to be doing my medicine, but I'll have a candle. I may even have some stones, some crystals. You can have a little setup, a little altar if you want, or just do it outside. I love being in nature, Pachamama, Mother Earth. And then while I'm receiving the medicine into my body, I'll meditate, quiet the mind for 15 to 30 minutes. I'll be sometimes even dancing. Sometimes I'll have music. All of these things are so profound. You can call in the elements, call in your guides, your ascended masters, your teachers, your wise and healed ancestors to come and help give you wisdom and clarity through the medicine, and asking the medicine for clarity as you set your intention. Usually I like to speak in two components. I'll say, I want to release fear or anxiety or guilt about this thing. Like, for example, when I was really going through a lot of shame and guilt about drinking too much alcohol and being addicted to that for so long, I had a lot of different days where I was releasing the same shame and guilt. But guess what? I would call in love and compassion for myself. I would call in acceptance and forgiveness. And over time, I felt better. And the medicine was helping me purge that shame and guilt. So really, really taking it seriously. It's not a pill to pop. This is just, again, my personal experience, because I used to be in the supplement industry and the shake industry. It's not a pill to pop and just go about your day, because that could cause triggers, anxiety. I've had some really scary experiences myself. So taking that time and setting up that sacred space. And then when you're done, closing it out with a prayer, or just simply saying thank you, saying some affirmations, setting your gratitude practice, writing down what you're grateful for. Maybe the medicine showed you something. And again, the medicine isn't gonna do it like that. What I mean is, this is over time. This is how you can develop a relationship with the medicine, even throughout your day, asking, what am I learning from this? And calling on that higher self, that divine within, to help you be more aware, more conscious, connecting more with the heart, brain, and slowing this ego down, making it your friend, and being curious, but getting into your heart as much as possible. So that's what that's about. I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A feature, because I want to support you any way that I can today. And then, of course, proper nutrition and hydration. While microdosing, even during and after, before ceremony, hydration is critical. Hydration helps with the gut brain and releasing any of the free radicals from the trauma responses, etc. Eating well, probably even working with digestive enzymes, probiotics, lots of fruits and vegetables, a high B and D. Vitamin diet is important. So lots of leafy greens, fruits and vegetables. You could even have some supplements. I consult on this on a one-on-one fashion. So if someone's really struggling, you can't drink a lot of beer and eat a lot of pizza when you're doing this. When someone asked me, oh my gosh, Lois, how did you lose 30 pounds in 1 year and keep it off? I said, well, I did a lot of medicine. And so I was always on dieta. I was always eating really clean, drinking lots of water, eliminating a lot of alcohol. I didn't give up on alcohol because I don't believe in the abstinence model personally myself. I just changed my relationship and got to the root cause of that. So my perspective has completely radically shifted. So all of those reasons, but just really making sure you have B and D and even some iron, really watching those blood sugar levels as well, to have a nice, strong, fortified body and healthy, clean gut brain, maybe even doing a cleanse or a detox for your digestive tract, your liver, all of that kind of stuff I can help you with, or I'm sure you can find someone that can help you with that. But then just really observing what the medicine, like for example, psilocybin says before a deep dive, no beef, no pork, no alcohol, no other substances, even like cannabis and things like that. You want to have that out of your system before you do a deep dive so you can be more receptive to the medicine. So that's enough, because there's so much more I can share with you, but it just wanted to mention that because again, it's connected to the gut brain and that body mind. So if you really want to honor your medicine experience, these are good things to do. I also wanted to remind you, for those of you who are more into the awareness of the spiritual space and how the world is changing, literally the earth is changing. Some people call it a new earth is being born. I'm not going to get into, some of the depths of that, but every 2000 years ago, we move into a new zodiac sign. So we're coming out of the Piscean age into the age of Aquarius. So healers are becoming more powerful. More people are uncovering their psychic gifts, which actually could be causing your anxiety, by the way. You're developing at a super fast rate. So the universe is calling us to slow down and to really meditate and go within to honor that. People are tired of working without making money in a meaningful way. That happened for me. I was a sales coach 2 years ago, and now I'm a spiritual teacher and plant medicine woman. This is much more meaningful to me. So you may be shifting in your career, and this is part of the reason why. People are less willing to compromise and love. It's more difficult to conform. You want to find a way that lives and shines your light, your uniqueness. And I believe everyone has something unique to offer to the world. So take a screenshot of that if you want. Excuse the typos, but if any of this resonates with you, I would love to have a consultation with you. I do offer up a one-time free consultation for someone who's wanting to sit with us or do microdosing or talk about in my one-on-one mentorship to help you remember who you truly are, especially if it is you want to develop these gifts safely, because you can't do that on your own. It can be very dangerous if you don't have help. And I will tell you a testimonial for my partner, Emmanuel. He was really unhappy and unsatisfied in his life, his career, and he discovered he was actually a ghost whisperer. His psychic gifts, he's a channel for the divine. He can paint and be channeling these paintings, and was never a painter before, and had he not slowed down and got help and also did, work with sacred plant medicine, I don't know if we'd be married today. I don't know where we would be. So if you're struggling with your partner, if you're struggling with finding a partner, it's a lot of it is because there's probably more than that's really going on inside of you or inside of them because of this whole age of Aquarius and dawn of enlightenment. And I already said this, you can develop your psychic gifts with plant medicine. So be careful if you are in that space. Please be careful. Find a guide, a teacher, or a mentor. So here's some quick client testimonials I want to share with you. This is a microdosing testimonial. Someone who was in 1 week and already cut back on their alcohol consumption and the shame that he had around that. He also noticed that his sense of smell was improving, which may sound weird, but remember what I said about the gut brain. He had a very poor sense of smell for about 20 years due to lots of sinus infections, which I had that as a kid as well. He's had significant improvement in his smell, which these medicines help you with all 5 senses, by the way. But it happened for him in his first month, and he's really been grateful. He's really, really changed a lot. This is a sleep testimonial, someone who could not sleep. She started microdosing before bed and using my online meditations and breath work. And she doses and meditates before bed now, Monday through Thursday, as a new part of her rituals. And her life is so much better with sleep and a body, mind that is balanced. Here's a testimony from our mushroom shaman. Actually, he's been a shaman for decades. And he said that we hold an amazingly safe ceremonial space that gives so much love and potential for breakthroughs. He's been a shamanic practitioner for a couple decades, and sitting with us was the deepest, most profoundly healing ceremony he's had in over a decade. And he's done so much more than we have. So he recommends sitting in ceremony with us. And then another client, Josh, he actually came to microdosing for chronic pain. And now, because of the medicine, he decreased his physical pain. He's sleeping better, dreaming more, which dreaming is a good thing. I could go into that, but we don't have time. He's drinking way less alcohol and significantly decreased his daily soda habit. He used to drink 2 to 3 Diet Pepsis a day. and now maybe only has had 3 cans of soda in the last 4 weeks inside of my 30-day jumpstart program. So it's pretty exciting. So I don't see any questions in the Q&A feature. This is the time to put them up. I'm just going to close out here then if we don't have any questions for John and Rocco. I'm so glad you guys could be here. My vision is to help 1,000 people be and become super conscious creators, which is that higher self, divine within, because that's where your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom comes from. The sacred plants have helped me with that, and I want to help be that guide or teacher for you if it calls to you. So if you have any interest, I do have access to 4 trusted sources. I can help you save time and money if you want to microdose with psilocybin, my ayahuasca drops. I also have psilohuasca for those advanced microdosers, not for beginners. San Pedro or Wachuma, all of these are really quality sources. There's a lot of potential danger in finding medicine out there right now, guys, because everyone and their brother is growing their own shrooms. You just don't know what you're getting, so be careful. Any questions? Did anybody want to put some questions in the Q&A feature? Otherwise, I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you do have questions, please email me at lois@loiscovey.com. You can book a free consultation on my site. I see a question. Oh, good. Thanks, Rocco. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and I have a ceremony coming up next weekend that I'm hosting, and I'm telling people you can start with your nutrition protocols a week out if you want. Otherwise, 3 days before. Just depends on the medicine and depends on you. So if you want to book a free consultation, I'll drop that link in the chat. And then I did want to just quickly go ahead. I see another question. Let me grab that link first, and then I will. Where are you? There we go. I'll drop the microdosing consultation link in the chat for those of you who would like to sign up for that. Now I've lost my Zoom. There you are. And then I'll look at that question. All right. Okay. Is there no other questions? All right. Well, good. I was hoping that this was really super thorough and super complete. Feel free to book a consultation for me or with me. Remember, I do have my 3-year podcast anniversary link. If you sign up and you follow the rules, you can win a plant medicine ceremony or a free month of coaching with me. Would love and be honored to support you. And then also, with that being said, I do have ceremonies on my website. So you can take a look at my website, microdosingforhealth.now.site. I have a ceremony on the 22nd. I have a ceremony in Minnesota on the 12th. We also have an ayahuasca retreat this September. If you're interested in sitting with grandmother for 3 nights for my birthday month, we have a great recommendation referral for that. I do not serve that other than in the microdosing world. And then if you are serious about microdosing, it's a great way to put your toe in. It's a great way to see if this path is for you, because it's not for everyone. And oh, by the way, it's not a permanent path. That's what I love about this. You know, the pharmaceutical model says you will be taking this medication potentially for the rest of your life. And I've helped so many people get off medications. I know this is not true. But if you want to just see if this helps with your anxiety, if you see if this helps with your sleep, it helps you to focus, recover from grief or addiction, and so many more things. Again, I would be honored to support you. As part of that 30-day jumpstart, you get 2 one-on-one calls with me, unlimited texting support Tuesday through actually Saturday. I got to change that slide. And then, of course, my online portal 24/7 is included for free. And of course, also the medicine itself is included. And I am raising my prices on July 24th. So right now for all of that, it's only $400, but it will be $450 as of July 24th. So book that consultation sign up to win for my 3-year anniversary. And I like to close with a quote from Confucius. And remember, no matter where you go, there you are. I will tell you, when I was going through my dark night of the soul, my family and I moved from from Minnesota to California. And I thought life was going to just all of a sudden magically get better because we changed our state, our zip code, our home. And no, it actually got worse. So you go wherever you go. And if you don't look within and heal, because as within, so without, life is just going to continue to be status quo. Or if you have big challenges that come your way, you may not be able to handle it, and you'll lean heavily on your addictions or just feel lost, you'll feel alone. And my partner and I are wanting to create community to help you remember who you are. And no matter where you go, to have as much joy and as much bliss and as much happiness as possible. So again, Misty Magdalena Grace signing off for today. I look forward to serving and supporting you. Looking forward to your feedback. Again, I dropped my consultation link in the chat. You can also email me, lois@loiskofi.com. Again, that may change very soon in the near future with my name change, but for now that works. And thank you so much for investing your time with me today. Namaste.